Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Women's Entrepreneurship Forum. I would like to remind you that the event will be in English language, so please keep your headphones with you. ასევე ქართველ მონაწილეებს შევახსენებ, რომ ღონისძიება თავიდან ბოლომდე არის ინგლისურ ენაზე, ასევე მოიგრძნოთ ყურსასმენი და ის შეგიძლიათ აიღოთ უკანა რიგში. And I would like to ask our first speaker, Mr. Georgi Pertaya, Georgian President of the Georgian Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Your Excellency, thank you very much for coming here and joining us. Member of the Parliament, Mariam Lashki, thank you very much. I would like to welcome to the Women Entrepreneurs Forum on Business Development in Challenging Times. First of all, I would like to welcome Estonian delegation. We are very happy to see you here, and I hope that you will have quite interesting visit in Georgia. I would like to also welcome the distinguished speakers, and most of all, I'd like to welcome over 100 participants of this forum. We have up to 100 participants online. This is a hybrid business forum, and this numbers highlights not only significance but great deal of interest regarding women economic empowerment in Georgia. Empowering women entrepreneurs is essential both to realize women's rights and to achieve broader development goals such as economic growth, poverty reduction, health, education, and welfare. With these shared values, Georgian and Estonian chambers of commerce are implementing the project named Female Entrepreneurship Development Program in Georgia, funded by Estonian Development Aid Program. The main aim of the project is to implement networking events and a 6-month mentoring program where 20 Georgian female entrepreneurs are mentored by Estonian counterparts to develop their entrepreneurial skills as well as extend their business ties in Estonia. Georgian entrepreneurs already had an opportunity to visit Estonia. They had a great visit, and now, as I said, we are very happy to host the Estonian business delegation in Georgia. I'm sure that during networking part of the event, there will be more business linkages and partnership opportunities. Today, we have interesting presentations on how to navigate in modern business from public to private and private sector representatives, as well as 2 panel discussions on business support mechanisms and significance of digitalization. I would like to express a special appreciation to Estonian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. They are our reliable partners for the quite long time, and I hope that we are going to have quite close cooperation in the future. I would like to thank, of course, Estonian Development Aid Program for funding such an important project, as well as today's speakers. We have great speakers today talking about the different interesting subjects, representatives of the business, representative of the Parliament of Georgia, and I would like to also express appreciation to the participants. We, Chamber of Commerce, we support the women's rights and strengthen economic strengthening of the women, and it's not only just wish. We have the numbers. We believe that the strengthening of the Georgian women economically will affect GDP growth of Georgia, and this is most important part. We believe in this, and we support this idea, and we are going to work and have a lot of different kind of projects in this direction. I wish you a successful panel discussion and working day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I would like to ask Ambassador of Estonia to Georgia, Her Excellency Riina Kaljurand.
Good morning to all of you, Mr. Bartaia and respected Member of Parliament, also representatives of the Chamber of Commerce of both Estonia and Georgia, dear mentors and mentees, dear ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be here today and to see so many of you participating. This means that this is really a very important topic for Georgia. It is a little bit weird, maybe in the 21st century we shouldn't be talking about gender equality and empowerment of women anymore. We should be focusing on other problems, but unfortunately this is not the case. We still have a lot of gender equality all over the world, in all of our countries. And we should do our utmost to improve this situation, because especially in the difficult times, all these weaknesses and problems of our society are brought into light. So I think when it comes to Estonia, for example, then in Estonia we would like to think that we have made a huge progress in this regard. And we have made a lot of progress, and we have a lot of women entrepreneurs, and the number of women participation in politics is also increasing. But at the same time, we also know that there is still a very long way to go. Although there is a sort of a wider acceptance by the society that women are also allowed to be ambitious, that women can also start their businesses and become very successful, and sometimes more successful than men, then still I think there is a lack of courage from women's side. And when it comes to Georgia, then I have seen a lot of smart, intelligent, entrepreneurial women in Georgia. I have met several of them by traveling around in different regions, different cities in Georgia, but they are still a minority. A majority, a silent majority, are still tied to their households, to their homes, to their villages, to their small towns. And it is difficult for them to get out from there because it is simply, there is no support system in place that would enable them to go to work or to dedicate to the public life. So what it takes, and not only in Georgia but also in Estonia, is that in order to make real progress in this regard, I think what we need is a whole society approach, a wider acceptance, a wider support by politicians, by local governments, by families of these women, so that they can actually come out. And I mean, this also takes burden sharing when it comes to childcare, because sometimes, you know, supporting women entrepreneurs, it doesn't mean that you help them to set up a business close to their homes and enable them to run home and make lunch for children. It means that they have a choice. If they want to remain at home by choice, it is fine, and we should respect that. But if they want to do something else, they shouldn't be limited by that kind of possibility. So I really hope that these 23 Estonian entrepreneurs who have come here today to Georgia, and I know that you have met in Estonia before, and you have had several virtual meetings before, that you have given something, some enthusiasm, some encouragement to all these Georgian women to go and to develop their businesses and to be courageous, to be more ambitious, because especially in difficult times, I think that this is not only the responsibility of politicians, it is not only the responsibility of men, but it is also the responsibility of women to participate more in a public life, in business life. So I really hope that this whole project will actually help to build up right contact networks and kind of create the synergies of new ideas. So I wish you a very successful discussions and a nice conference. Thank you.
I would like to ask Member of the Parliament of Georgia, Maria Blaschi.
Good morning, everyone. Dear Mr. Chair, Your Excellency, dear guests and dear participants, I want to welcome you in Georgia and greet you today in a very special day. When I came in the hall, we had really special vibes. So many beautiful and energetic entrepreneurs, the women who have special aura in this room, so it's again motivating for us and encouraging us to do way more. I would like to say a few words and also send our greetings to our Ukrainian ladies who are now under very brutally violated their rights, and we are hoping that this will be coming to the end and we will be standing stronger together and encouraging their rehabilitation and coming back to their real and normal life. From the Parliament perspective, I have to highlight that Georgia is in a very historical momentum of coming closer to European Union family. And European Union is first of all political union where we have to share the same values, democratic values, the rule of law, and all the democratic activities and reforms which we are underway going forward. On the other side, European Union is the economic union and coming closer to the markets where we have to harmonize our standards from the economic perspective. I have to highlight some of the kind of steps forward which has been done. So we, as you are well aware, we have submitted the candidacy using the opportunity and leveraging the opportunity for becoming the EU family together with Moldova and Ukraine, and we are very positive because of the recent developments and achievements which Georgia is having recent years. On the other note, I truly believe that people-to-people relation is the most important thing, and this type of events and platforms are really making kind of real family of European Union, and the linkages which similar type of programs are making are very useful. Some of the economic and both political laws are ongoing. One of them was right after second day of submitting the candidacy was the rights of the customers, which is again under one of the key achievements of association agreement and the commitments which Georgia has taken. There is a whole package of the reform agenda which Georgian government together with the regulatory framework is working on, and the unity in this way is very important. So this is the people's choice. More than 85% of people's choice of becoming European Union members is the key and key encouragement and responsibility for each of us who are working on this, and we're hoping that we'll be together achieving these goals and be closer and closer to European Union and getting the positive response. I would like to congratulate both Chambers of Commerce and thank both members and the team who are making tremendous work in this direction. And from our side, from the Parliament side, I want to express readiness and willingness to further support at any point which will be in our hands. Thank you once again. I wish you very productive meeting, because entrepreneurship is the thing which is nowadays, especially after a pandemic, has accelerated the processes of development. And I really hope and I truly believe in women power. From Gender Council side, I will be also encouraging this direction to further harmonize our standards and further encourage the women entrepreneurs in this direction. So I wish you success. And I wish you a good event, and I have to apologize, soon I have to leave, but again, I will be ready to support you in the further activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would like to ask Head of Services of Estonian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Ms. Piret Potisepp.
What would you do and achieve if you are not afraid of falling? A great question, and I can see so many female entrepreneurs over here who have definitely asked the answer beforehand, because otherwise you would not be here in the room and spending your time over here. Dear ambassador, dear chair, dear colleagues of the chambers, dear mentors, dear mentees, dear brave and fierce female entrepreneurs. Today's topic for the forum is digital transformation and the current challenges that we are facing right now. But let's not forget that all those digital and other things we take for granted were few years ago, or few decades ago, or a few hundreds years ago, innovations. Somebody was brave enough to try, someone was brave enough to fail, and to try again, and to fail again. And you all can name the different sector that you are active in, the ones who have failed, and the ones who have made the failure into the success. And I will not spend too much time on digging on the failures, because the failure is never a failure when you put it into the context of your next success. The only thing that you have to do is to take the side, because some, unfortunately, give up on the go. And the ones who stand up and try again and are not afraid of failing are in the room. Show up and do the things that will change the company, the family, the society, and the global mindset at large. And I can assure you that I fail every day. I fail every day with my to-do list because it's just too ambitious. And well, I'm still here. So something I must have succeeded as well. I can promise from the Estonian Chamber of Commerce side that we will definitely have a round 2 for the project, because we have learned so much. And I would like you to give a grand applause for a project manager, Liisi. And another big applause for all the colleagues from the Georgian Chamber side. Who have not been afraid to take this journey, which I envisioned a few months ago and made it into reality. Enjoy the conference.
Thank you. Well, On behalf of Georgian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I would like to say that about 3 years ago, I think we had the first encounter to support of women entrepreneurship, and it was a new topic for us because we are a business support organization, we are business oriented, so we were interested of how the dynamics works. Do women really need support for economic empowerment? So we started digging in. I started digging in, and I discovered that yes, there is a lack of support for women entrepreneurship in general. And then I discovered new topics for me. For example, what does empowerment mean, right? Because some men are threatened by the word empowerment, and they think it brings some advantage to women. But then when we start digging into numbers, what we like, we discover that there is a big proportion of disadvantage that women are. And in reality, empowerment means stabilization, that women and men have both equal opportunities, equal access to financing. So in general, economic empowerment especially means that we are not giving advantage to women entrepreneurs, we are just leveling the play field and giving everyone equal opportunity. And then when we understand this in numbers, because we are not a non-profit organization or we don't do charity, we dig deeper, and for example we discovered McKinsey's Global Institute research that the world is losing $160 trillion because women are not equally represented in private sector. And then we find other numbers and we said, well, this is important. We are not supporting women because we are supporting business development in general. We are losing all these opportunities because women do not represent only 50% of population, 51 now, but they are 51% of workforce and 51% loss of opportunity. So that became Chamber's strategic objective, let's say. We started interacting with UN Women, and we were the first chamber that signed women empowerment principles in general. And I discovered just now that Estonia is the second chamber of commerce in the world that signed women empowerment principles, and we were kind of inspired by us. So in future, I think this direction will be more. So that's why this topic, women empowerment, will be, I think, Chamber's one of the key priorities in future. And this project was especially very personal for us, I think, because the selection process of 20 women entrepreneurs, and then we met mentors, and these relationships and linkages that were developed for this very short time, we see the potential that this will go beyond our projects, this will develop into new partnerships, and this will inspire maybe other entrepreneurs as well. And I think we discussed it yesterday as well, that this is not the end of the project, this is end of the phase one of the project, because we want to, there are lessons learned, there are new perspectives that we saw, and I'm sure there are many other women entrepreneurs here in this room who are not part of this particular project, but we will offer you many other projects that you can participate. And I can fully say that on the success of this project, we can go on very, ensure in ourselves that we had an impact and we will have some developments. Regarding participants, I want to thank you all for the 6 months. You've been so much involved, both Estonian and Georgian side, 2020 entrepreneurs. And after communicating with each of you yesterday, I learned that this went beyond just a project partnership. We became friends, and Georgians are discovering Estonia, and many Estonians said that they like Georgia, and this, I think, step by step we are moving forward. I like this small saying that big things have small beginnings. So I'm sure that this will transform with time with something really wonderful. So I would like to thank all of you, Your Excellency, members of the Parliament, especially all participants. Today, after the forum, Georgian entrepreneurs will have an opportunity to network with their Estonian counterparts, and I'm sure there will be much more linkages after today. Thank you for your attention. And now we are moving forward to presentations, and our first panel is how to navigate in modern business. And I think very interesting topics will be discussed, such as access to financing, which is #1 demand from business in Georgia and I think worldwide. And Ms. Nino Suknidze, Vice President of Georgian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, will deliver a presentation. I would like to ask you to the stage. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am very pleased to meet you here. There have been so many good words said by the presenters that I won't go into the importance of this event. And I'm just going to go directly to the access to finance section. And again, welcome on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce. Before I go on, I just have to make one comment about my role. So in addition to being a Vice President of the Georgia Chamber of Commerce, I am also on the board of TBC Bank. That's one of the two biggest banks in Georgia. So forgive me if I'm slightly going to talk more about the TBC opportunities, because that's who I represent also today. But I have to assure you that other financial institutions in Georgia are also very much involved in the projects of providing access to finance to women. Now, before I go into details, I wanted to mention that we have two parts in this presentation. So it's not only access to finance part, but also access to knowledge and women in tech and so on, because we think that access to finance is also very important along with access to knowledge, because these two are very important in terms of encouragement and learning new skills and so on. So I'm going to talk about first two programs. One is a Startupper program, which is not specifically aimed at women, but a big portion of the participants of the Startupper program are women. In fact, this program has been ongoing for 5 years already, and just now TBC celebrated the 5-year anniversary of the program with identifying all of the good results that this program actually brought to people. So there's, in addition to, let's say, about 500 active loans as of last year, and the total portfolio of approximately 197 million Georgia lari. In addition, there's a huge program of provision of, just to give you a few examples, for instance, how to prepare a business plan, how to do your own finances, how to do the reporting that is required for businesses. So there are each component of this knowledge program that this program provides for startuppers, and I also have a user experience from this side, because I have a law firm which is 2 years old, and I also have been participating in this program as a user, so I can also basically say what it does for the participants on the other side as well. There are different types of knowledge sharing programs where they invite various specialists in various fields. It's free of charge for all of the startup participants, and this is something that I would recommend for new businesses, and I'm sure that we have those in the room. Now, another program that TBC is running in cooperation with EBRD, it's again specifically aimed at women, and you can see that since 2017 there have been 73 million Georgian lari provided to more than 350 beneficiaries, including 6 startups. This is also aimed at women specifically. Now, luckily, the providing access to finance is a priority for many international and financial development agencies, and of course they do it through Georgian banks and Georgian microfinance institutions. Again, I'm very glad to say that this has been a priority for the last couple of years. Again, not to give any particular priorities to women, but to, again, as Georgi mentioned, to level the playing field, which I think is a very important thing to do at the moment in our economic reality. Now, again, we have another partnership program with USAID, TBC Bank, which is, as you can see, it will provide 30 million USD, and 9 million of which will be specifically aimed at women. You can see that I can't provide you too many details in this presentation, but I can connect you with people who actually do these programs, if any of the participants today will be interested in getting more information, which I think you should if you have business plans in motion at the moment. Another program that we have here is that, again, TBC cooperates with, together with Georgian government. It's produced in Georgia, host in Georgia, and preferential agro credit. Again, specific types of programs for specific types of businesses. There are different types of support. For instance, there may be government subsidy for interest payment. There may be government subsidy for or provision of guarantee for certain loans. So there are various options that can be adapted to your needs whenever you ask for financing. Then I will go into very briefly about other initiatives which are not, as I mentioned, specifically related to access to finance, but are very important in developing the skills that are required for business. For instance, TBC is the partner of Grace Hopper Award. It aims at identifying people who have excelled in technologies. I mean, women in this case. Another very important aspect of TBC's work in relation to women entrepreneurs is TBC IT Academy. It's been going on for 3 years, and 640 people have taken various courses. It's very important that 220 of these students have been employed in TBC, and 64 of them were women. Of course, not all of them have to be employed at TBC. It's just that it gives them skills that they can use elsewhere. And IT skills, you'll agree with me, is one of the most important need-to-have skills at the moment. This is why TBC Academy was established a couple of years ago. And one other project that I'll draw your attention, I'm not sure if it's here, but it's 500 Women in Tech. That's another very important project also done with Business and Technology University. TBC supports this program, and the aim, of course, is to train 500 women in technologies, which I think is also a very important aspect due to the reasons that I already mentioned. Now, a few words about what Georgian government and Georgian government-funded entities do in relation to access to finance. Again, not all of these are specifically women-oriented, but they're oriented at funding startups, which of course can be done by both men and women. On this slide, you can see a couple of matching grant projects. Again, if you need more information, Chamber of Commerce will be happy to provide more information about any of these projects. This project is by GITA, Innovations and Technologies Agency of Georgia. There are different types, so from small to big, depending on the, of course, need of the participant, and they promote innovation. They give you a chance to test your innovations, and of course there's also, starting from very small, as I said, prototype testing to much bigger projects. Some of them require co-financing, of course, to show that you're really invested in your own project, and some of them don't. Now, this is another slide of what Enterprise Georgia provides for businesses. I will not go into special tax regimes and tax incentives and FDI grants. I will also only draw your attention to state support programs, for instance, subsidies for loan interest payments, which is a very interesting support system provided by Enterprise Georgia. Also, collateral guarantee co-financing, which is also a very important part if you want to start business in this direction, hotels and manufacturing, and free lands and buildings for the manufacturing factory, which seems to be a bigger project, but that's why I'm drawing your more attention to subsidies of loan interest payment and collateral guarantees. Again, financial institutions together with governments provide joint projects where the state either provides guarantee or subsidizes interest payments so that you can realize your business plans. And another project that is called Plant the Future. Here I would like to draw your attention to the financing for agribusinesses, obviously, that finance seeding costs and irrigation system costs, which is, of course, for this type of business are very important costs to be subsidized. This was very briefly what financial institutions such as TBC and others, again I want to emphasize that TBC is not the only one, other financial institutions, banks and microfinance organizations have a lot of programs that you could have access to, and very briefly about what government does in various forms to support business startups. If you need more information, I'm sure my colleagues from the chambers will love to provide more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Nino, for interesting presentation. Most of you here are entrepreneurs, so I think you will agree how difficult it is to start a business. It's so many challenges, and I like the saying that entrepreneurship in general is like building a parachute after you jump from the cliff, all the way down. That's why very often we need an inspiration and success stories, and that's why I would like to ask our next speaker, a successful entrepreneur, Ms. Irma Taushvili, founder of DIO.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting such a very interesting conference. I think that this mentoring program was very interesting for all of you, for mentees and mentorings. And thank you very much to give me opportunity to tell about my company and my business history. As many of my age's people, when I graduated university, it was 1988. My profession is mathematics, and I never think about business because this businesses was not usually in Soviet Union, and we don't know what was the private sector and private business. But after graduation, everything is changed in our country. You know that the time Soviet Union collapsed, and there was a civil war, and people started to save themselves and their businesses, their families, not businesses, their families, and we started to thinking about it, how to pass this very difficult time. For me, it was very unusually, but I have some experience in to work in private sector, as I have my private students, and it was some little bit experience. At the time I work in the Minister of Health as my profession as an analytic. After that I work in the bank as a programmer, but every job has very low salaries, and it was impossible to live the time on this salary. And we think what we can do, and I started to bake cakes. My first business was baking. Then it was fortune, maybe. My friend's family moved to Europe, and they asked me to start to sell some blinds. We don't know what was this blinds, but I tried to sell and offer it to the first time it was opening the embassies that time in Georgia, and the first our clients were embassies in Georgia. The first was American embassy, the next the German embassy, and I started to find foreign companies that started their offices, opening their offices in Georgia. It was 1994. And after that, we have motivation, and in 1996, we founded with my brother and sister company Dio. It is a family business, and nowadays we are a middle-sized company. We have 3 factories, 2 in Tbilisi and 1 in Kutaisi. We're producing different kinds. We started with blinds, but nowadays we're producing more than 18 different products. For example, we produce blinds, windows, PVC windows, aluminum windows, awning, and so on. Our priority is to produce most of our main product here in Georgia, because we think that Georgian production is need developing, and we are proud for our 3 fabrics here. Another business that I involved, it is hotel business. It's a forest hotel and spa in Nunisi. It's a region, Haragauli region. It's a west part of Georgia, and it is a very beautiful place with mineral water for skin care. It's unequal water, not only in Georgia, I think it in all over the world, but we have some problems there, as still it is not developed, this region, by the infrastructure. And I never think that in 2 years ago I became a start-upper and started the third business with my husband. It's also a very big challenge. We founded the company. It's a medical firm, as my husband is phytotherapist. He's a doctor, made the medicine with medical plants. And we do the phytotherapy balneology center in the center of Tbilisi, as we connected 2 different kind of medicine. It's a non-traditional alternative medical, but it's very important, and the balneology treatment. As Tbilisi is famous with his hot waters, and on the Saburtalo region there is a mineral sulfide water. It's very useful, and we try to do it as a medical center. So during this period, I am very proud that our company is leader at about 26 years on Georgian market, and we have many challenges during this year. To participate in 3 different businesses, I can share my experience that the most important is the team, whom together you do your business. And I think to do business is big challenge, but every time when you pass, I agree with favorite ladies who's told that every day is a failure, maybe every day is challenge for us, but for me every challenge is as a mathematical task. It has her answer, I think so. And my mission is find the right answer of these tasks. Differences is when I do my mathematical testings, it has direct answers, but life has not direct answers. You should find yourself this right answer. As a leader, all your company members, all your people around you look after you, how you can motivate them. The next for women, I think, is a very big challenge to divide his time between business and family. Without family supporting, I think it will be very difficult to be successful or do your job well. I know many women, include me, every time I think that maybe I spend more time in my office and I had not the possibility to spend more time with my children. But once our teacher told me, it is not important how long you spend with your children. It's important how quality you spend your time with your children. And from that I tried to spend very interesting time with my children, with my family. As I think the busy mother also are very good role model for them. And the third thing that it's very interesting in women's business is to don't give up your goal. Every time when you have some problem, when we solve this problem, we go ahead. We go approach, and the experience is the most biggest direction in our life. And you have so good experience to work with very good experts, mentors, and I think it was good experience for you and for them to work and to learn each other, as in the future it will help you to improve yourself and be more self-confidence. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Irma. You're truly inspiration for all entrepreneurs. Now we are moving forward. We're moving forward to panel discussions, where you can also have an opportunity to ask questions. And we have first very interesting panel on EBRD business support mechanisms. And I would like to ask our panelists to take a seat on our panel, when they will deliver short presentations and speech, and then you can raise your hand. We will provide the microphone and you can ask questions. So I would like to ask our speakers, Mr. Irakli Toloraia and Ms. Riina Palu. After the presentations, please raise your hand if you have questions. Thank you.
Georgi, thank you very much for introduction. Good afternoon, dear distinguished guests, Your Excellence, honorable guests. And I would like to thank you for organizing such an interesting event and inviting us and giving us the opportunity to briefly describe our activities for women entrepreneurship support in Georgia, which we are doing since 2014. So before my presentation will start, I would like to tell that I'm the part of the EBRD. Okay, thank you. I'm part of the EBRD SME Finance and Development team in Georgia, in charge of the coordination of the Women in Business program, which is funded by EBRD, Sweden, EU and early transaction countries fund. So first I will Before I will start with explaining what we are actually doing to support women entrepreneurs in Georgia, I would like to start with the historical overview of the VIB program in Georgia. So supporting and the development of women entrepreneurship has been identified as a priority for EBRD, for Eastern Partnership countries. And based on this, in 2014, we launched, by support of our donors, so we launched first Women Entrepreneurship Support Program in Georgia with overall objective to promote women entrepreneurship and women's participation in business and giving them opportunity to have access to finance and know-how and non-financial products which are provided by us. As you can see on the map, currently we run women entrepreneurship program in 24 countries worldwide. So in order to support the women entrepreneurship, we have three mechanisms. Mechanism one is the women in business financing. Another one is access for women entrepreneurs in business non-financial products such as the advisory services, business coaching, mentoring, and business lens. So as of financing, as TBC bank was mentioned during the presentations before me. We helped two banks in Georgia to develop dedicated credit lines for women entrepreneurs, total with 30 million US dollars, but we provided this money in local currency. Both credit lines are, as I know, fully utilized for now. But good thing about this product is that both banks, without us, continue, assisting women entrepreneurships, and they still have the dedicated credit lines even without our involvement. So I would like also to mention that by the hard work of our team and the dedication, we already implemented more than 125 advisory projects, and the way we are delivering projects is that we are using database of pre-qualified consulting companies. And in our database, we already have more than 220 consulting companies, local consulting companies in Georgia. So this slide indicates the mechanism which we are using to support the local entrepreneurs in Georgia. So it's first is supporting them by using the local consultancy projects, international advisory projects, and other skills development activities. So local consultancy projects usually are short-term projects up to 12 months. And in this case, the local consultants and beneficiaries conducting the advisory projects, and we are, let's say, jumping in and helping them to co-finance the project on a co-sharing basis. So the international advisory project is for large-size companies. The duration is from up to 18 months, and in this case, we are bringing the international expertise to the companies and inviting the sector specialists in order to help the business to grow. So our eligibility, shortly about the eligibility criteria, size of the business who can be our beneficiary are the micro, small and medium-sized businesses. For the SME definition, we are using the EU SME definition, which means that our beneficiaries should have fewer than 250 employees. Their annual turnover should not be more than 50 million euros. As a maturity, the companies which we are supporting, they should have at least 1 year operational and financial history. So we are not actually, our project is not designed to support the startup companies. As for ownership, which is another major thing for us and for our donors, this project is designed to support the local entrepreneurship. So it means that the company should be privately owned, and the shareholders of the company should be the citizens of Georgia, or majority of shareholders of the company should be locals. And one of the main criteria how we are differentiating the women's ownership of the business is that the business which we are supporting should be run and managed by women. So main decision maker in the business should be women. This is briefly about the business advice offered for our beneficiaries. We are funding almost all kind of the consultancy services except legal consultancy service. So the project can be strategy, marketing project, organizational, operational, ICT, etc., etc. So as you mentioned today, the digitalization is a kind of theme of today's meeting. I would add to my presentation and mention that especially after the pandemic, the digitalization became one of the most requested consultancy services for local businesses, and it's related to digitalization of the business processes and developing the new market channels such as e-commerce websites or app developments. Regarding the cost-sharing, it's on this screen you can see our grant matrix, which indicates the cost-sharing in the businesses from our side by size. For example, for micro and small businesses, cost-sharing of the project is 60% from project net cost. But it's for general projects. But for women entrepreneurs, we have a addition 10% gender top-up, and it's again related to the business structure of the company. If the business is run and managed by the women, we are adding additional 10% to our side of the cost-sharing of the business. Another tool of supporting the local women entrepreneurship is the skills development. We designed and developed with the German company Applicatio the training materials for women entrepreneurs, and we are since 2014 we are providing these trainings for local SMEs. All these training materials are adapted to the local needs, translated into Georgian, and all training are conducted by Georgian trainers. So during pandemic time, we kind of changed the way of the delivery of the trainings. So for last more than 2 years, I mean, we are providing trainings online. I mean, before it was a physical, but now we are mainly delivering it online. Another interesting part of the tools which we developed for women entrepreneurs is a business lens platform. This platform was designed especially for this project and program. So this is on the bottom you can see the website where you can access this portal. This portal consists of the information regarding our program, partner financial institutions, upcoming trainings, projects, and it consists all information regarding with our program. But one of the main and important part of this portal is the business lens platform, which is a diagnostic tool, online diagnostic tool which is free for the entrepreneurs. It has like 120 plus questions. You will need around 40 minutes to accomplish and complete it. And on the end, the system diagnoses your business and gives you scoring by 7 parameters. So basically, for example, after answering all the questions, maybe, for example, the system will count your answers and, for example, give you the low scoring in marketing, which means that you need to definitely do something in direction of the marketing. So that's a very interesting tool, or the 187 or something women entrepreneurs already completed this form. It's free of charge. Any business which is owned by the woman can access it and do the diagnostic. So this is a little bit statistics about our projects by industry types, by size of the companies. As I mentioned, for last 2 years, the ICT direction of our projects are dramatically increased. More than 65% of the projects are ICT projects, and it's related to, again, digitalization of the business processes and establishing the e-commerce websites. This is our partners. We are closely cooperating with local organizations. We are conducting number of visibility events, seminars, webinars together in capital and in other regions of the cities of Georgia. So thank you very much. This is our contact information, and also there is a link of our Facebook page, which is where you can find the information about our daily activities. We are publishing success stories and let's say the training announcements or other opportunities on our page. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Irakli. I think with your consent we can share the presentation or part of the presentation to participants, also contact information, so they can inquire if they have any additional questions. So everybody that registered for this event and provided their contact information, we will share the presentation by end of the day today.
Thank you, and I will add one more thing. We don't have deadlines for the projects. You can apply anytime when you need help. So please feel free to contact us and we will help you.
Thank you. I think it's a great opportunity, and it's very difficult sometimes when you see an opportunity and seize it. Sometimes it's a fear of failure, sometimes it's a fear of success, but I urge you to contact Irakli and use this opportunity, and nobody knows where it can lead. We as a chamber are ready to support you throughout the process, of course. And let's move on to our next distinguished speaker, Riina Palu, CEO of SRSL.
Yes, thank you. I actually have a couple of questions to Irakli. First, just before we continue with my case in Georgia, what would be the most interesting project that your program has financed in Georgia?
As I mentioned, we already financed more than 125 projects under the Women in Business program, and I can tell that most of them are very interesting and exciting. It's it's our babies, so we really enjoy working with the women. And also, I would like to add that after 1 year of the project end, we are doing the project evaluation. So we really would like to see the impact of the project which we supported the businesses. So I can see few our clients. We are calling beneficiaries, let's say. We are calling them clients. So, for example, the DIO was our beneficiary many years ago. I guess somehow in 2010 or yeah. So we are operating in Georgia since 2000. Yes, we are operating in Georgia since 2003. So we have done lots of projects in country, and especially I was so happy to see one of our beneficiary today here, the vocational education school, private school, Mrs. Ia Eradze. We conducted this project during COVID time, and we only had the online meetings, and I'm so happy to see her today physically. So,
Yeah, another question that I had was that did you distribute the funding equally over the different regions of Georgia, or it was more concentrated on Tbilisi on practical reasons?
we have pretty good percentage there. We are close to 50%, 50 capital, 50 regions.
Okay.
So it's not concentrated mainly in capital, but I mean, as you know, the capital is more alive. So,
Yeah,
but
sure.
we are trying to keep this figure and our attention to regions too. We are going to regions frequently. We are organizing the meetings. I mean, last meeting we had, for example, a week ago, together with Chamber of Commerce in Kutaisi and in Ajara. We met with local businesses and discussed our project and opportunities to support them.
Mm-hmm. And actually the third and the last question, it's maybe a bit more intriguing. Who are the people working for the program in EBRD? Are they women, men, or they're both? Who are administrating the program for Georgia?
In Georgia, I'm the person who is in charge and coordinating the Women in Business program.
Yeah, but you have employees too? For that, yeah.
Sure.
These are women or men?
I mean, both combination. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. Sure.
Okay. Yeah, it was a bit intriguing to see
No,
who are the people helping women.
Women are well presented in EBRD. I mean, we have equal opportunity in organization. I mean.
Yeah. Okay, then it's a right spot to move forward to what I've done in Georgia in my business, and I've also worked together with EBRD, so I can confirm that they have equal opportunities, and I would even say that the majority of the contact persons that I've had during my project are women. Actually, there was only one man, and this is the local Georgian representative of EBRD, Nicolo Lipari. I don't know, I've actually invited him to come, but I don't see him here at the moment, so maybe he'll join later. So how I became related to Georgia was actually through a project that was financed by EBRD. This is a digitalization project again, but the final beneficiary in this case is government of Georgia. And we have found out of this tender, so that we have, our team has contacted many states all around the world, inquiring if they have some digitalization project in pipeline so that we can advise them. And we very soon after taking contact received response from Georgian Maritime Administration that yes, indeed, we have a project in plan in maritime digitalization, and this is a feasibility study for port community system development, which is a major information system in maritime. And very soon after we found that information, a tender was published. We set up a team, an international team governed by Estonian company, and we involved an Estonian ICT company. We have involved German consultants who are very good at maritime and port affairs, and we of course have involved a Georgian counterpart, a law company in this case, because establishing a new information system of course involves a lot of legal work, and if it's something major, then it most likely involves changes in legislation as well. And we have won this tender, so we have worked together with EBRD and Georgian government, especially Georgian Maritime Administration, for 10 long and very intensive months. And actually there was another organization from Georgia, very much related, it's Investors Council, that is also supported by EBRD. And this is actually a very high-level council that is uniting or bringing together all the government ministers, basically, or the main ministers responsible for development in Georgia. So our project was on very high level. It was very successful. I think there are several key factors. It was very well run from the EBRD side. We received all kinds of support during the project, and very much when there was some
discussion how to proceed. I think the project was also very well run from the maritime administration side, and I'm lucky to say that there was a female coordinator. And, and yes, it was very well run. There was no discount given to us, no discount given to any of the Georgian stakeholders, and of course they did not discount themselves too. So we were very happy to stay in schedule. We actually were even ahead of schedule because all the counterparts were very interested in this project. We found only positive feedback from the industry side, ports, operators, railway, customs, you name it. All the very important players in maritime and logistics business, they were very supportive. They were 100% committed in all the work that we were managing for them. And of course, with this commitment, the result can, of course, only be excellent. So I have a very good experience in working in Georgia. This contract ended on 5th of May. I have to note that this was a commercial contract. It wasn't like any subsidy given to us. We tendered for this contract, and we are currently participating in another tender that is not run by EBRD, but is run by US government also on another very important information system, which is Maritime Single Window, again in the maritime sector. And we have submitted our offer. We don't know the result yet. It's in the evaluation phase, but we really hope that we can win this tender as well. And then, of course, we are hoping to win several other tenders because Estonian experience in digitalization in general, in e-governance in general, and in maritime affairs is something that we should actually distribute all around the world, because we have really been very effective in that. But I think one key figure that we also emphasize to our client, Maritime Transport Agency of Georgia as well, is the political will. If you don't have the political will, you really don't do anything, whether it's digitalization, whether it's maritime and logistics, whether it's female entrepreneurship. So the main thing is that your leaders have to acknowledge that this or that topic is important, and if it is, it will go. Maybe to proceed from here to business support mechanisms. Actually, the topic of your presentation was very intriguing for me. When I looked into the presentation, of course, it was about financing, but I would also like to emphasize other business support mechanisms that female entrepreneurs would need. I think the key words here are your family, your kids, and what the state can do besides financing. Actually, when talking about family and kids, I think my thoughts resonate very much with Irma, who already talked about it, so I won't repeat. But I would like to bring another topic on the table, which is the state support. And actually, it is something that has to be done before we go to finance our ideas. These ideas have to arise from somewhere. And I can tell you, and I think several of the Estonian mentors in this hall agree with me, that in Estonia, when is the time when women think of becoming an entrepreneurs? This is actually when they are at home with kids, and we are very advantaged in this, because in Estonia you can stay home with your kid for 3 years. You are paid your average salary for 1.5 years. It's just like a dream. I actually asked about the system in Georgia. It's of course very difficult and different, but I think this is something that you should address your leaders in, to change this system to be more favorable to women, to stay at home for a longer time, to have more security from the state side, so that you would have the security to think of what you really want, and really this security to develop your first idea, and then you go to look for financing. But you need to have this time to think and to have this background support to really go forward with something in the entrepreneurial field. So, and I would also a bit talk about the mentoring and this current project. I think it has been a very nice project. We are here, we meet our mentors, but I think it is not most important in this kind of mentoring projects that there is some knowledge transfer from one mentor to one mentee. I think the overall framework of such project is very important. So my mentee Damuna is there, and I think it is actually more important that she is now vice president of Georgian Association of Female Entrepreneurs. I think this is actually the bigger effect. Maybe it's not directly because of this mentoring project, but I think it has a share in how you have developed and you have decided to take this role as well, besides your business that you are also developing very intensively. So we should look much wider to what we actually came together for. And just to sum it up, I think it is very important for women to acknowledge and to notice other women and not to be a wolf to another woman, but to be supportive.
Thank you for a very interesting presentation and your comments. Maybe we have some questions from the audience. Maybe anybody has a question? Okay, please provide the microphone and please address who you are asking the question.
Yes, thank you, Riina and Irakli. I would like to actually ask from Riina that is there one thing you would like to bring from Estonia to Georgia and from Georgia to Estonia? Did you learn anything or you saw anything which you would like to switch?
Oh, hard question. But I think regarding this, what I would bring from Estonia to Georgia is what I already told, that there should be more support for women in taking care of the children at a very, very early age. This first years, first months, both in legal safeguarding the woman's position and the possibility to go back to work not only in 6 months, but also in 5 years if you have several children, and then this financial support. But I think that what I would bring back to Estonia is that I really enjoyed, also it came from Irma's presentation, that so many businesses in Georgia are family businesses. We don't have that. We don't have that big families. But sometimes it would be wise to think of the families and running a family business as well. So this is very different in our cultures.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, in the back, lady in the back.
მოგესალმებით. ძალიან დიდი მადლობა დღევანდელი შეხვედრისთვის ორივე მხარეს, ორივე სავაჭრო სამართლის
პალატას. თუ შეიძლება, please maybe add your headphones because the question will be in Georgian.
მე გახლავართ ეკატო ჯვრიშვილი, მართებებოს დამახაჭოს დამფუძნებელი. შეკითხვა მექნება ბატონ ირაკლისთან. წერანი იყო ძალიან კარგი პრეზენტაცია IBRD-ის და მაინტერესებს რეგიონ, აი ამ პრეზენტაციის უფრო კონკრეტიკა. ხომ არ არის შეზღუდვა რომელიმე რეგიონში, მაგალითად FAO-ს პროექტს და კიდევ USAID-ს აქვს შეზღუდვა და რეგიონი თიანეთი არ ხვდება ამ პროექტში. არის დუშეთი, არის ყაზბეგი და თიანეთი არის ამოვარდნილი. აი ამ დაგვარი უმცირესობები და გამონაკლისები ხომ არ იქნება და მეორე შეკითხვა მაქვს, ანუ საგრანტო კომპონენტის დაფინანსება თქვენ წეგამბრძანეთ მაქსიმალური რაოდენობა ბიზნესის ბრუნვის და თუ არის მინიმალური ზღვარი ამის თაობაზე. დიდი მადლობა წინასწარ.
ქართულად სავარაუდოდ ხო? ქართულად უპასუხო თუ ინგლისურად რა? როგორ გავაკეთე?
როგორც თქვენ ინებებთ.
მოკლედ ქართულად გიპასუხებთ
As the question was asked in Georgian language, so the speaker will also respond in Georgian. Please take your headphones in case you're interested for the answer. Thank you.
მოკლედ გეოგრაფიული შეზღუდვები არ გვაქვს, მუშაობთ ყველგან საქართველოში, სადაც ამის საშუალება გვაქვს. სამწუხაროდ ის ორი რეგიონი, სადაც ვერ მუშაობთ, ალბათ იცით. დანარჩენი გეოგრაფიული შეზღუდვა არ გვაქვს. რაც შეეხება მინიმალურს, როგორც ვახსენე პრეზენტაციაში, კომპანიას მინიმუმ 1 წლის ფინანსური და ოპერაციული ისტორია უნდა კონდეს, რომ დავეხმაროთ. ანუ სტარტაპი არ უნდა იყოს. თორე სხვანაირი ციფრი არ აქვს, ესე ვთქვათ, ქვედასხვარი.
Hi. First of all, thank you for the interesting presentations and motivational speeches and everything. So I have 2 questions to Mr. Irakli. First is, so in the presentation, you mentioned the website that helps so the businesses to evaluate their progress. So is this website also available, or will it work on a startup idea? If so, the questions, are they aligned to a startup? Would I be able to gain some information if I write the information about a startup? And the second one is, so you mentioned that after a year you have to write a final report, but do you, after the year, do you still keep contact with the beneficiaries, or how does that process continue? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So website, I didn't mention, but the website runs in both languages, I mean Georgian and English, so it's fully localized, and anybody can use it in Georgian language too. So the diagnostic also works for startups. Maybe you will not be able to answer the questions regarding turnover, but there are other questions which is related to business knowledge and experience. So it will give you something on the end. Regarding the evaluation process, yes, definitely we are keeping in touch with all our beneficiaries, and we are contacting back after 1 year after project completion. We are doing same diagnostic meeting with them, and actually when we are starting the project, we are always setting the KPIs, which we can later measure. So when we are going back to the business after 1 year, we are measuring these KPIs. If there is anything which was not related to our project, we also do repeated project with the company if it's needed.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? No. Well, I would like to thank our speakers, so let's give a round of applause. And now we're transitioning into our final panel today, which is Digitalization, Automatization, Keys to Success, which is, I think, hot topic for Georgia and the rest of the world, especially in the context of COVID-19. And we will review Estonian experience as well as Georgian experience. So I would like to ask our panelists to take the floor. Anastasia Shevchenko from E-Agronom Product Manager at a startup, Day Executive, Day Program Manager. Virve Georgieva is Glamox Factory Manager and Chairman of the Board. And Ekaterina Ramishvili, Founder of KISAPEX. Now, before we start, I would like to give a little context about digitalization. When the COVID hit, I think we all remember how difficult it was for all of us. And suddenly, digitalization and e-commerce became a very significant part of our everyday job. And it was not a focus so far. But the Chamber is very active in this direction. We implemented e-commerce trainings. Some of you, I see, are here beneficiaries of 100 free website projects where we provided free websites for entrepreneurs, and over 50% were women there as well. And also we will soon present our new free book on e-commerce in Georgian language, and we will have a lot of new projects. So your entrepreneurs, please keep checking our Facebook, social media, our website, because there are new and exciting projects coming our way. But I would like to now continue with our panelists. I believe they have very interesting input from multiple directions. Now, the first speaker is Anastasia Shevchenko. So please share your experience with us.
Hello. First of all, thank you for having us here. It has been a pleasure to visit Georgia and to be a part of this experience. Second of all, I'm going to improvise, as I didn't really know that I have to share this experience so far. Can I ask you, would you like me to elaborate more on the experience of digitalization or my experience as in Georgian project, or what would be the focus that you would like me to elaborate on?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So maybe I can share a story by saying that going a bit personal, I would take 5 minutes, I think, just to give you a bit of a context.
No, you're not limited, so this is an open discussion, okay. So feel free, please.
When I first heard about this initiative, I was very happy to, not just happy, I was thrilled to say that I really, really, really want to be a part of it. Because I'm from Ukraine, and my cultural background is very similar to, I think, to what Georgian female part of the society is experiencing, which is, I never thought that I would like to be a very independent woman to go into and do any kind of career thing. I always thought that I would have a man who would be the leader, and I would be just the second part and supporting role. And when I had the kids, as Rina said, then I kind of thought that maybe I can do more. Maybe I have better potential. Maybe I don't want to just cook at home. Maybe I want to use my intellectual power to actually bring some benefits. And part of that is because my son has a disability, and I was forced to actually learn a lot about different challenges in life, how to overcome, how to support him better. Or I actually challenged myself to read more difficult things, and so that was a big influence in my life. And at some point I decided that I want to be a doctor, so I went back to high school when I was 24, 5, did all the biology, all the things from scratch. So that was like part one. So when the initiative arrived, I thought that I would really like to have an impact, at least on one woman, to encourage and say that, actually you are able and capable, and it's never too late, or if I can do anything to support anything to help you thrive, I would be happy to share my experience and say that, hey, I know how if you feel unconfident, uncomfortable, you're feeling like you have this imposter syndrome. I deal with it every day, so that was the reason for me to join. And my mentee is such a brilliant, talented woman that I felt that I have much learned from her. And so it has been a very, very nice experience for me personally. Thank you. But from my work experiences that I did start my own company, and I'm still struggling finding the exact product. So I'm still doing the ideation, validation, all of the design thinking process constantly. And besides that, on the way to that, I'm still working, yes, at Iagronom as a product manager, where I actually do the skill, train my skill set of constant validation of a product. And I have a very complex product that I took on, so it keeps me on my toes. It's a very complex climate changing challenge that we are facing, and I built a carbon program, which means that I try to figure out how we can sequestrate the carbon from the air to the soil, and there are different models how to do that, and it's quite a trip. It's been quite a fun ride so far. And in parallel, yes, I do manage the Startup Day program, where I put together a field or a track for C-level leaders, all the CEOs, CFOs at different companies that could come and be inspired by our community. And for me personally, having the community, the startup community that we have in Tartu, which is the second biggest city in Estonia, has given me a lot of support, a lot of motivation. So I would recommend the women to find their people. Just if you even don't have that in your family, you don't have a husband who supports you, you don't have a friend who sees world like you do, but find someone and just lean on that person. Just find and, you know, exchange ideas and say like, hey, I really like how you think. Can you coach me, or do you want to grab a cup of coffee, or just surround yourself with people who motivate you, and that will stick. And at some point you will be the person who will motivate others. And there's a small girl that I saw in the audience, and I was like so happy to see that some lady brought their kid, or I think it's someone's child, I assume. It's so nice, because I have, my employee allows me to take my children to work. Sometimes when my kid is sick, I can take them to work. Well, not sick, not in COVID, you know, just still safely. But it gives me a lot of support, knowing that my employees also support me being a mom, and they understand that if I'm a mom, that, you know, things come with it. And my children have never been an obstacle for me to do anything at work or participate in any meetings. Of course, sometimes it's a mess. And so it's very nice to see that there's a child in the audience, and the child already sees that, you know, gets motivation from seeing all the women around them, that they will not be put in a box while mom does something. It's all synergy. So thank you for bringing your child. And yeah, and the one thing I wanted to mention before I give the microphone is that the word digitalization, what does it mean? It means everything. It's the same if we talk about artificial intelligence. It means a lot of things. It's just a buzzword. Digitalization is not a thing for very, very young companies usually, because if you want to start something, start doing. Manually done job is a very good one. You can set up a very nice process and digitalize it. Because if I have digitalized manufacturing companies for more than 3 years, and what I saw really frequently is that they wanted to digitalize, but their processes were so bad that if you digitalize a bad process, you have a bad digitalized process. So it's you don't have to be digitalized in order to start. It's a buzzword. Digitalization can make your life easier if you have a need. If you don't have a need for that, just forget about it. Don't listen to anyone. Start doing your MVPs, which is a minimal valuable product. Just start going somewhere and you will get somewhere. And yeah, don't be afraid by all the technology pressure that you feel. And honestly, I have studied programming. I did a small course. I have no idea what it's like. It's so difficult. You don't have to learn all the skills. You have to figure out what is your strength and then delegate all the other things that you don't know how to do well to other people who know. And just build a fantastic team. I'm sure you will succeed. Thank you.
I would like to start by moving my chair, because I was also surprised that we have a presentation, not a discussion, but I would like to see you audience. So, So let's start then talking about automatization and digitalization. This is a very interesting topic, very wide topic. Maybe a short introduction about my factory. We have 300 people working in our factory, and last year we had our revenue 75 million euros. So just to give a picture about how big our company is. But when you look Estonia outside, then Estonia have a very good image of digitalization and automatization. But in the same time, the recent surveys showed that companies are not very interested in digitalization, especially when we talk about production and such processes. Only 25% of companies said that they are interested or are going to do the digitalization investments. This is not the case that we are lazy or we think this is not needed. Maybe this is more that we are conservative and we understand that big investment means also payback time. We promote digitalization and all interesting tools, but in the same time, we also have to understand this is investment, maybe a bit easier for automatization when you can count also the investment amount, and in the same time the payback time by saving. But for some digital tools, you also have to take the running cost for next years, keeping up the system. So these challenges always you have to keep in mind. In the same time, small companies, they are afraid to start think about automatization and digitalization because, as I mentioned, usually we think about big money. But I recommend not think so much about digitalization and automatization, but innovative attitude and continuous improvement culture in company. This is the key word. And when you have ideas inside of your company and your own people say that I feel that this work, what I'm doing is a bit stupid, or I do same thing over the day and day, then this is the starting point to think about automatization or digitalization. Maybe I give you a simple example. You have a production unit, and every day one person is cutting maybe wire to the 10 pieces every day, same way. And you need maybe 100 pieces per day. And this is really needed operation for your production. But maybe another company does the same, but in bigger volume, doing maybe 2,000 pieces per day. And then they actually can offer better price because they do it in bigger volume. And you can consider subcontracting, buying these pieces and using your person to the another task. And this is also automatization because you are thinking about your process. Can I give something out from my process and even save from that? And the other company, maybe they can do automatization and buy the line for cutting these pieces, and they can provide better price for you. Or if this is not a possibility to subcontract, think maybe you can figure out some easy tool to support this person that he or she will not cut by one, but maybe 5 pieces at the same time. 5, 5, 5. And this investment maybe is not also very big one. So these are really simple examples. And usually when you are running the company or you are the entrepreneur, this is high level management, and you maybe do not see these small things in your production or in other companies or service companies. But if you create an organizational culture where people share their experience and they are not afraid even criticize you and processes, then this is very productive environment. You can catch up many good ideas, and keep in mind that business is changing every day because usually we are growing. Let's hope we are growing. Or even if you have challenges, and especially today when we look about the challenges in supply chain, then maybe you have to even decide to work on a slower speed. Then this is also change for some possibility for some changes in your production. Same thing, do not forget people who are supporting customers, for example, or production planning. If they do some movements every day, similar movements, I call it pushing the enter every day, then also consider, this is very motivating for this person? You are really lucky if you find a person who is happy to push the enter every day. But most of people still would like to do something additionally. So if you have a task or something in process which is similar, continuous, then this is also a possibility to change it and save the time, which means also saving in money. And one important thing in digitalization, when you have good process, you did investment, do not forget to monitor, and I recommend even yearly to check your processes, because sometimes the environment already changed and some things what you are doing are not needed anymore. But we are used to do that. And we also believe that this person is very needed. I have a very good example. We bought new factory in Poland and we had very good ladies there checking the quality, 3 ladies. And I asked, okay, I understand they do a very good job, they're inserting the data to the system, but how high is the failure rate, or how many mistakes you have during the day? And I don't remember the number, but I remember the percentage to the production, and it was 0.00 something. And then I asked, okay, but then why you have these 3 ladies? Because earlier we had a lot of mistakes, and now thanks to these 3 ladies, we do not have so many mistakes. But let's think this way, these 3 ladies can do something more productive for this production. And I am sure that you do not have these mistakes anymore because you improve the processes. If you will have again mistakes, move these ladies back to the controlling. But be clever and flexible. But once again, this is part of working culture. If people do not support that, they really will be stressed and say, why I have to go to this site today, another site another day. So this is more not like a manager or management, but involving all people together to think about working clever way, innovative way, what we can do better, and not only focusing on the profit, but on the environment where we are working.
Yes, I agree. It was quite fascinating. And for our fine, now Georgian counterpart, please.
Hi. Hello. Thank you so much for having me, and this program has been an amazing journey for me personally. Just to tell you a little bit about me, so that the topics that I'm going to discuss is that I'm Gado, I'm a business owner, and I'm a cross-border e-commerce specialist. I teach a lot of Georgian entrepreneurs and also foreign entrepreneurs how to master the skill of product digitalizing and actually e-commerce, and how to actually sell their products online, which is a super interesting topic here in Georgia, because the most issue that we encounter while working with Georgian students is that they don't often believe that they can actually succeed on a global platforms like Etsy, like Shopify, like Amazon and stuff like that. But honestly, talking from my personal experience, when I started my small business, I was 21. I just have graduated from my university with a business degree, and like Anastasia said, I never imagined that I could actually play a significant role in my family's business, and that I could actually become something that I would really be proud of later on. So today we produce our products here from Georgian materials in Georgia, and we actually ship thousands of products to different markets, to the US, to the UK, Canada, and we've actually shipped a couple of products to Estonia, and actually Estonian customers are the nicest and the sweetest. They always reach out to us and they appreciate hard work, and because all of our products are unique in their own way, we ship leather handbags. They always appreciate work and dedication. So When I started my small business, I only had $20, $30 of initial investment, which is nowhere near a startup cost, as you all might know. And it's very difficult starting out as a woman with just $20 in your bank account with, I don't know, just a dream of maybe make one product, just a prototype of the design that I would like to sell to my friend or friends of friends, and I could have never imagined that I would actually be able to have a massive line of various products and be selling them every day. So if you had told me this 5 years ago, I would have been, I don't know, like really shocked, because my first 5 products I sold from home, and like really to my friends and like people who felt pity for me, I guess, who felt really sorry. Like, she graduated from business and she's making like some bags at home, let's help her. Honestly, this was the initial reaction of my friends, I guess, like at the bottom of their heart. But yeah, I started to think like, how would I actually improve my business channels without any help? Because I've reached out to several companies, to several people, but you know, when you have just one product and the idea, and this product is not like a groundbreaking invention, it's very hard to gain an investment. So I realized that I either had to do it by myself and put my 100% into doing something, or I would just give up and, I don't know, ask my uncle to find me a job somewhere. I don't know, it was really stressful. So I started investigating different e-commerce platforms, and I started thinking about what would be the most cost-efficient way for me to get my product out there to the largest amount of people. And this is where the product digitalization actually comes in handy, because it requires minimal investment, and it's the most cost-efficient and probably, in my case, the most profitable way to launch your business, to gain knowledge, and actually be in front of the widest audience of different markets. So you are able to actually sell from Georgia to US, to Canada, to UK. You are not limited by the market, and you can actually discover different markets for your business just from the comfort of your own home. So that's what I did. I started putting my products online. I started the process of product digitalization, and as Anastasia mentioned, it's a very confusing word, and it's actually not hard at all. It has some simple steps that if you need to get your products online, there are simple steps that you need to follow, and you can absolutely do it by yourself, whether you would like to sell it on Georgia markets or maybe go global from the comfort of your home. So I didn't have an opportunity to rent a store, so I had to improvise and find alternative ways, and it turned out that this alternative e-commerce solution was one of the best things that I had ever, acquired the knowledge of this specific field. And after my first marketplace, which was Etsy, I started to learn about different marketplaces like Amazon, like eBay. I started to learn about standalone websites, and I was able to build my website on Shopify platform, and now we have our orders from Shopify as well. So it's not only the marketplace with enormous traffic that can potentially generate you orders, it's also a standalone website which speaks to your brand and actually gives you more sophisticated brand image. So you can actually go with both ways, whether you'd like to have an own brand website or sell on marketplaces. And if you are interested, of course, I believe that you can do the product digitalization and be successful on any platform that you put your mind to it. Because if I could actually do this with $20 at 21 years old, I imagine that anyone could potentially do this if they put their minds to it. So that's a really fascinating thing about globalization and the opportunities that we have today, which are are endless, honestly. You just have to choose what you want to do and follow the path. There's endless information online, and there are a lot of courses. And when I first started out 5 years ago, there were much less information, especially in Georgia. I only knew maybe 2 people selling on Etsy at that time. So I had to learn everything by myself, which is another interesting journey. So I think I've spoken quite a lot about this particular field. And one thing that I want to address to Anastasia's speech, which really kind of talked to me, was the imposter syndrome, which is very, very common even today with like my field. Even though I'm selling multiple products a day, sometimes I might think like, why are people actually buying from me? Because that's they feel sorry for my shop. But I put a lot of work into my business. We have over thousands of 5-star reviews on different platforms, and people don't often know that we are from Georgia when they purchase from the US. And that's another amazing thing, that we can actually explain to them where we come from. We can show our product, which is unique and Georgian in every way. So that's another experience where you actually have the opportunity to meet your customers and actually understand their needs. Because today we have a lot of products, different lines and so on, and when we started with one, we didn't have the idea what our customer base wanted. But with marketplaces, developing your own personal brand and your product, what is the best thing for me, and with like product digitalization aspect, is that you have the direct communication with your customers, so you understand what they need. We understood that our customers needed, for example, extra compartments in their handbags. They needed matching wallets, something, and we built our whole line just by communicating with our customers, because we knew that when like 10 people told me within a week that they would like something different within this product, I understood that that's like basically my focus group talking to me without any marketing effort. So that's another interesting thing, selling online and digitalizing your product. So there's a lot of experience to be gained. I won't bore you with details. Thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you for such interesting perspectives, I would say. Maybe there are questions from the audience. Please raise your hand. Not even one. So now, yes.
Sorry, this was not planned. I thought that all 3 speeches were extremely impressive. I was very, impressed by your personal stories, by the sincerity of your speeches. So I just wanted to thank you for this, and I think it was very inspirational for me, and I'm sure for other participants as well. Thank you.
I'll have one question. It's a general question. Digitalization and e-commerce in Georgia was not quite a relevant topic some time ago, before COVID, and many entrepreneurs considered it to be not necessary, something of an add-on. And then we had the COVID, and we had a survey when, before COVID, in the process of COVID, only 0.8% of companies identified e-commerce as something significant for business. A month later, it jumped to 17%. So there was a huge increase because everybody understands now this is significant. If I want to survive, e-commerce is integral part of my business. And now, hopefully, COVID is over. I would like to know your input. Is e-commerce here to stay, and how significant it is for businesses, especially for startups?
So I will answer one of the answers would be mine. Thank you for such great question, and it's true. I've personally witnessed a huge rise in orders in 2020 when the pandemic actually hit. So this was not just like a Georgian trend, it was all over the world. The most orders that we have acquired was when first the pandemic was announced, because I guess there was also a stress issue, because people were stress shopping, because I definitely understand that. And when we were really frustrated and like didn't know what was happening, where we would be working next day, we would receive a largest amount of orders. And when I saw this statistic in 2020, there was actually 2 billion orders in e-commerce field, so there were a huge rise, and it actually gave our shop a huge boost. So we were able to acquire like a capital for our next project, and it was really helpful. And we've seen a lot of entrepreneurs in Georgia, like when they didn't have their physical shops open, they had this issue of selling, and this was a huge trend of going e-commerce. But the thing is that you actually had to be in e-commerce field before the pandemic in order, like Georgia at least, in order to actually maintain this traffic, because you had to have a lot of products online, and you had to be kind of like ready, I don't know, ready for the pandemic, but yeah, you had to have your shop already online, because when you start building your shop and digitalizing products, it takes some time for the SEO, it takes some time for the system. So for some shops it was too late, but for some shops actually took the advantage of the traffic and boosted their sales. And what happened now is that the revenue has slightly decreased for the market that I'm personally, like the entrepreneurs that I personally know. It has decreased, maybe because of the war, maybe because the pandemic has ended, but e-commerce field has been growing rapidly and very it has been very stable in its growth. So in my opinion, it is here definitely to stay. Maybe not as much as in the pandemic, but definitely it's something that will be, I think personally will be our future one day, because people tend to shop less in store to save time and cost of traveling.
Thank you.
I would add a little bit like different perspective to the topic, because I think it depends on if we're talking about the global or local e-commerce industry. I think global-wise we are depends on the region again. If we talk about countries that are more developed, we have very high priority and high focus on climate change. So that influences a lot our preferences in preferring local. And if we talk about countries that are not that developed, maybe they don't have this focus yet, though it will come in after some time. So I do think that if we talk about e-commerce as a part of digitalization of a society, then it's for sure, COVID was a good catalyzer for that, and it's here to stay if you have already a business that managed to develop this solution. And if you have managed to build a customer segment that is using your service, this digitalized service, then why it wouldn't stay? Of course it will stay, but yeah, the companies who have not maybe taken COVID situation too seriously, or they were not that affected in the way that they were pushed towards creating an e-commerce platform, then I'm not sure about them. It depends on their business strategies after that. But yes, I think the key element here is to think about global, local, and a specific region we're talking about. So if you think to export from Georgia, then it depends on what country do you think to export. Because I think at some point in Europe we will for sure think about the footprint on the environment that we're taking and making. If will I order myself a bag from Georgia if I live in Spain, if I know that the footprint is this, or will I prefer to buy from a local manufacturer? That's going to be a thing. It depends on the market that you will expand to. Thank you.
Yes, I would like to add, I absolutely believe e-commerce came to stay, but in the same time, we also have to keep in mind these customers who like e-commerce, now they also expect more from us. During the COVID, usually what we did, we looked, okay, I need a product, here I have it, I buy it. Now, more and more customers tend to Google different companies and compare the products. So very important is visualization and also all information about the product, technical information or another information. And if you are missing this information from your homepage or where you are keeping this information, but your competitor has it, then you are, sorry to say, loser, because these customers who like e-commerce, they would like to get information quicker and quicker and quicker. So this is the point we have to keep in mind, not only create the homepage, but also look, this is easy to find information about our products, how the pictures look, and what our competitors are doing. In the same time, we should not forget our customers who would like to touch the product and see the product. If we believe that all people would like to buy via internet, then this is not the story. So probably we are moving to the stage where we have to find a balance, how we promote our products or we sell our products, and what is the right channel for our business. Of course, there is no absolute right answer for all companies. And also you have to keep in mind that you also have the expertise in your company to support and digitalization, or in the same time the active sales if this is needed. So combination and flexibility.
I have something to add? Yes. While you will be developing the platform, can I make a request? Because I am the person who doesn't like shop online, because I lack the material, I don't know the smell, so I get like so annoyed, and at the end of the day, even if I manage to put it in a basket, it's usually like, I will not buy it, because if it's gonna come, then I need to deal with it's not fitting, then I need to set it in a bag, and it seems like, so during my COVID times, unhappy COVID times, I was like, I still want to buy the couch or something. I really, really, really need one. So what I did is like, I actually contacted a person from university to ask if it's, maybe someone has already done it. I wanted to have like a piece of something that would change material, or like, e-commerce platforms would put in the parameters of a certain fabric or smell or something, and I would have this stuff at home that would, take this form of that something, and I would at least get an intuition. If it would be like 70–80% accurate, I would be happy with that. It would ease my shopping experience. So please, but they told me that it's not possible. But it is. Oh, I tell them that they were wrong.
Yes, maybe this is not possible to send you small sofa, but what is possible to send the fabric sample? You will be happy already to touch the fabric. But from Estonia, at least, you can even today order the fabric sample, and in the same time you can also contact the salesperson who can describe the material or answer your questions. At least this is the step forward. But I hope that one day, when we talk about the technically intelligent and different 3D printers, this will be also possible.
That's what I was like. I really want to see a fabric that will change itself like magic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe we have questions. Okay. One question.
I don't have a question. I just want to
Sure.
For Kata, maybe I will repeat myself because I'm her student. I was. I'm running a company who is producing accessories and shoes out of leftover fabrics. And it means that we are collecting fabrics which are left after designers' work. We are collecting them. It means that they are little pieces.
In our product, we cannot repeat. I mean, each pair of shoes or each kind of accessorize is in different pattern, maybe same type of, same color. I mean, this is for me a challenge in a digital market, in e-commerce, especially when it is like abroad, not locally, and someone wants to have, oh, I like this. You see the picture, but I cannot do it again, the same. So I'm always in this type of meetings asking, I don't really know how to deal with this problem. And locally I can, because I can invite the customer to the place, show the material they can choose. I can do it online as well, but it's much more difficult and it takes lots of time. So thank you.
Yeah, I have a comment. Just turn this to your advantage. This is not a challenge, because if you say that, Virve, you will get the shoes only for you, and no one in this audience will have the same, but I also show the pictures of happy ladies with my shoes, I'm sure I will buy these shoes. So just turn it other way.
And I think we have...
I'm going to comment also, like, I'm sorry, it's basically the same, but it's, yes, it's setting the expectations. It's more common to have mass product things, so people expect things to be the same. But if you set an expectation of things being different, then probably you will have a customer that expects it to be unique.
Yeah, the thing is also that in this case, I mean, I think I need more time that people get used to our product and rely on our taste or whatever and say, okay, do whatever you want, I just need this and that in this color, but otherwise I believe in and I trust you. So, but it's, I think it just needs time, and the people, we need more visibility maybe, I don't know.
If you're confident that you can deliver a product high quality, then yes, it needs time. But if you're unconfident or not sure if you can actually deliver a product because you have too many variables there, if you're not sure if you're going to get that amount of material to manufacture that from, then that's not the case in your case, right? Right?
I mean, I will not deliver the product which I don't like or which I think it's not.
So it's just changing
perfect.
yeah, that takes time.
Just look around and find some very important ladies in Georgia and give these shoes and take the pictures where they say, these are really great shoes.
We tried, I mean, we started with this
Yes,
campaign.
so this is again, they will start talking about your product and helping you. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. I think we had one more question from very, very back. Was there, Salome? Yes.
Hello, my name is Terasa. I'm representing Impactor Agency, the only agency in Georgia that is actually, it's a digital marketing agency, and we're trying to help companies grow through sustainable business solutions. So I have a question for Ms. Anastasia Shevchenko, because the agribusiness, especially when it's e-agronomy, I think it's very challenging to market sustainable solutions and make it profitable and make it common among people to actually look at it as a commercial product and be interested in it. So I was curious, what are the steps that you take in your company to advocate for climate action and use it for, you know, as a marketing strategy? So what is the outlook for companies and for young people, for entrepreneurs to market sustainability, basically? What do you think about that? Thank you.
Well, that's an excellent question. Thank you so much. And I remember that I didn't really tell anyone what I was doing. Yeah, the company that I work for, they provide, their customers are farmers. So I think I can open you up on the farmer's perspective. So what the initial product that we had was farm management system, which meant that we digitalized the industry in the way that if a farmer had a check or something on paper, then we developed a system for them to have it online somewhere in a cloud, so they could see their harvesting season in full on, what crops did they grow in their fields, what products did they use in their fields, what are the people that work there, so different types. With initiative on climate change that started a couple of years ago to be more in mass thinking. Last year we decided to make I wouldn't call it a complete pivot because we still have the initial product, but we are building this carbon footprint, not carbon footprint, but carbon sequestration program. And it's not that difficult for us to market it, because what we do for the farmers, as these are the problem solvers, not problem creators, in the sense that they are the ones that can sequestrate carbon, they're not emitting carbon. So what we do is that we pay them money for actually making something. So that's, you would be surprised how motivating that would be for a farmer. That was a joke, of course. They are motivated to change their practices, and the industry is very, very heavy, very traditional. Even with that financial motivation, it's still tricky. So what we do is that we have agronomists on board, and they guide the farmer through this change management as a process, which is, I think it's the key element to any change, right? If you manage your change well, you'll be successful. So yes, we have advantage in the way that we can pay money for making a change, so to care for sustainability. From the farmer's perspective, there are different options as well. There will be green loans available for the farmers, the ones who are making changes in their practices. So there will be not only financed by us, there will be financed by different financial institutions such as banks. So there will also be, if you think about how it will be reflected on a typical consumer, us, the ones that are consuming food, we will at some point be interested voluntarily or not that voluntarily in the footprint of our food, right? So we will be interested in buying food from a sustainable farmer. So there are so many different options how we can make this sustainability attractive. But at the end of the day, as you know, beautifully well put together democracy we would want to sound, as in we have those values that we care about nature, at the end of the day the money counts, and that's, you know, you need to be motivated somehow. The practice shows that if you will be fined, then you will be making change. Until you're not fined for having too many emissions in the air, you will be saying, like, you know, I really care about the environment, it's just not the good time for me, but, you know, let the other people make the change. I will for sure start next year. Well, next year is maybe not the good year, but the year after that, I will for sure be. So there will be never a good time, and now that we are pressing, the pressure comes from the European Union, like a very big one, so it's going to be a topic in the next couple of years. I don't know, maybe you can elaborate how the situation is in Georgia. How much do you care about sustainability? Thank you.
Thank you for such a comprehensive response, first of all, and I really like how you put the farmers as the center stakeholder and make them care about the environment on the level of their actions, actually. And then it's absolutely passing to the consumer as well, that culture, if the focus is made on the right people in the beginning. So I really like the model that you built in your company. But the situation in Georgia is, I feel like, every developing country is really struggling with putting sustainability at the top of the agenda, because when there's questions and issues such as poverty, such as inequality and poor access to resources and education and opportunities, then caring about the environment and actually acknowledging the footprint that we have on the planet is really not something we would care about throughout our day. But in Georgia, I feel like companies really struggle with even understanding how pressing these issues are. So the first step that we are trying to do through our agency is also just raise the awareness about the questions and actually make companies aware that there is no time, just like you said, to postpone for another year, for another better time. So we are trying to, and I also like your outlook on how the financial instruments are actually the key in making the change. and finding and, you know, actually having that framework, the financial framework, I do think it's the best motivation too. So I think for Georgia, the best solution would also be just that, to show the financial motivation behind being sustainable and show how profitable that is. So I think there's just like the lack of knowledge around the issue is the first and the main impediment to reaching any kind of solution. And also, yeah, the general quality of living and the poverty issues and having zero access in rural areas and in the regions to anything that is sustainable. They're very poor waste management systems, so it's like a huge complex issue that I do think the first step towards solving it is by educating people about it, and then everything else will come, hopefully.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like if I say, I emphasize a lot on the money part, but actually no farmer will make any move that is harmful for them. So actually there are many co-benefits, and we say that we have analyzed the practices, sustainable practices, how they actually impact their soils, and if they have better soils, they will have better yields, which is like amount that you harvest from a field, and if you have better harvest, you can get more money from that. But also with there are different aspects that are influencing the field, like the industry. For example, we all know about the crisis in fertilizer business with the war happening, right? The farmers don't have fertilizers to use, and that impacts not just locally but globally as well. If we think about the Africa and the situation there with the food is very, very bad. So if we tell the farmers, they say we would like to buy fertilizer, but there's none available on the market. So what they can do is that we say, well, you know, you need to start implementing better practices on your land, so you would need less fertilizer. So there are co-beneficial aspects, so many in this program, that you need to sell it with the right with the right frame to the right people. So the mass still cares about the money, but they care about what's behind it as well. You can also, you need to figure out the whole holistic view of that. So. But that's a very important thing that you brought up. Thank you so much for this topic.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think we can sum it up. So applause for our fantastic speakers. Thank you. Thank you so much. I fully agree about the environment, and when you were speaking, about tomorrow, it's like going to gym or starting a diet. Yeah, for tomorrow, not today. Yeah, I know, but tomorrow is a magical place where every dream comes true. We are productive, so environment is something that also relates to all of us. So, yeah. Okay, thank you very much. So we're moving on to the final part of our event. The concluding remarks. I will make my small remarks, and then I will ask Pirette to also share her observations. Now, I want to start with thank yous, because it's been a very privileged project for me. It's been very personal, and I really don't want to let it go, but this is the final phase. And I want to thank, first of all, Estonian Chamber of Commerce and Industry for approaching us with such project, and especially Pirette and Liisi, who were so personally involved. And Liisi sometimes strict a bit, maybe, but and also I would like to thank Georgian Chamber of Commerce Industry employees and staff of the project team itself, because very often when you're on such type of events, you see one person, for me, for example, like me, but there's also Magda Bolotashvili, our Deputy Director, and Alexander Papiashvili, the Director of International Relations, and Anna and Salome. A lot of people from both sides trying to make it happen. So I want to really thank them for their hard work. And of course, Georgian and Estonian entrepreneurs who found time, and especially Estonian entrepreneurs who underwent special trainings to help Georgian counterparts and Georgian businesses as well. They've been very dedicated, not missing online meetings, as I've heard, and also, being here today. And I think this is very important. And also thank you for speakers and for their personal input. I think a lot of you will find interesting follow-ups. And also one final special thank you for participants of today's event, women entrepreneurs. And I think it's very important that you're here, that you registered, because as I said, the Georgian Chamber of Commerce Industry has a long, I would say, long-running ideas and perspectives of how to support women entrepreneurship. And we are upcoming with a lot of new projects, and we discussed with Piret at least 2 follow-ups for these particular projects, and we want to find a new wave of Georgian women entrepreneurs, and hopefully, and we have other projects as well. So hopefully I want to, predict the future and say that you are our future beneficiaries, because we see that you're really interested, you are in our special database now that you registered, so maybe you have some advanced information when we announce it and you will receive on your email. So hopefully when we meet in a year or 6 months, you will say, oh, I've been on that meeting and I've heard about this project and now I'm part of the project. This is how I would love to be. And for our already beneficiaries, maybe they level up and we meet in other projects for more bigger and larger scope. So thank you very much, everyone, for participating, for being with us. And after Piret's wonderful acknowledgement and sum up, I would like to inform you that we have a lunch on the upstairs, and you will have an opportunity not just to enjoy wonderful meals, but network with Estonian businesses, because they're wonderful people, I can say, and they're very open to partnerships, so don't be shy, approach them, talk to them, and I'm sure a lot of new beginnings will start here today. So thank you all once again, and I'd like to ask Piret for final remarks.
Well, it's always great to be the last speaker standing in between the lunch and networking and all the vibes. I will spare you from all my notes. I don't know, it's just my habit, and I think it's a very good habit, because after a month I will still know where the numbers and facts are. But I'm also a storytelling coach and trainer, and I want to emphasize what I always tell during the storytelling sessions. It always starts with a story. And those personal stories that we hear today will carry us through the hard times, the good times, and we will remember them, and we will pass them on. And many, many thanks to all of you in the room. And it's just the beginning. It's not the end. And the project can end, and Liisi and the colleagues from Georgia has to do reporting, so please be helpful, yes. But now it's time to network and have some great food. Enjoy. Thank you.
დიდი მადლობა გელოდებით, სევით ლანჩზე. კიდევ ერთხელ მადლობა.